How's it going, guys? Cody, we're back again, rocking it, ex-con Cody hoodie, as you can see. So this video, as you can see from the title below, drama teacher, female, child sex offences, she was done for. I'm going to do my bit at the end, guys. I used to live local to where this teacher taught. Anyway, guys, going to do the story, going to do my bit at the end, so stay in touch for that. Link in the description. So headline reads, drama teacher jailed for string of child sex offences against schoolgirl. A former drama teacher has now been jailed for a string of child sex offences after grooming one of her talented pupils into having a lesbian affair. Kim Connor began teaching the girl at a performing arts school when she was just 9 years old. But by the time she was 15, the girl was staying the night at Connor's home as the older woman encouraged a sexual relationship to develop, leading to the pair going to restaurants, attending West End shows, and even going on holiday together when the pupil was eventually 16. The 46-year-old mum of two was sentenced to 9 months in prison at Minchell Street Crown Court today. She was also put on the sex offenders register. Her victim, who cannot be named for legal reasons, said that Connor had taken the best years of her life, leaving her battling with mental health problems. Judge John Edwards described Connor's crimes as gross abuse of trust at a vulnerable period in the victim's life. Manchester Minchell Street Crown Court heard how, as well as teaching the girl, Connor also gave her victim private tuition at her home between the ages of 10 and 14. When the girl was age 14, the two shared hugs and a peck on the lips, which was repeated on several occasions, Darren Preston, prosecuting, said. By the time her victim turned 15, the two were said to share kisses with open mouths and were touching became more sexual, including touching each other over their clothes in intimate areas. After the girl turned 16, the pair's relationship was said to have become sexual, and the victim would stay over at Connor's home. During a week-long trial earlier this year, the court further heard that the girl adored Connor and was enthralled and besotted by her. Connor, who was suspended from her job at the head of performing arts at St. Monica's Roman Catholic School in Prestwich, Manchester, when the allegations came to light, and was said to have become close with the girl's parents, who grew to trust her. However, Mr. Preston told the court that when in public, Connor would push the girl away and never allow her to show any affection. The pair's relationship was said to have come to an end when the girl was around 20 years old. In a victim impact statement, the victim told the court that her love life has vanished and her dreams and aspirations of theatre have been tarnished. What Kim Connor did affected me for many years, she added. She told me to keep the relationship a secret, not through excitement, but because it was wrong. This, as she said, had caused me to suffer from depression and mental health problems from the age of 15 and led her to enter and endure an abusive relationship later on in life. The victim told the court that she's been inspired to speak out about what happened to her by the Me Too movement. That must be, obviously, child abuse, and gets victims and gives them the confidence to speak out. If I had known that speaking to someone would have led me to become the strong, independent, anxiety-free person I am today, I would have done it sooner, she added. Mr. Preston said it is the prosecution's case that, while the defendant never did anything that her victim did not consent to, this was an abusive relationship as the defendant was in a position of authority and was her teacher. And also, you've got to look at the age, guys, as well. Moreover, he added the crimes were aggravated by the fact the victim was vulnerable due to her age and confusion about her sexuality. At an earlier hearing, Connor of Blighton Lane, Salford, was found guilty of 3 counts of engagement in sexual activity with a child by a person in a position of trust, 3 counts of inciting a child to commit sexual acts by a person in a position of trust. Simon Gurney, defending, described Connor as a woman of previously exemplary character, who had spoken of positively by all her character witnesses. In mitigation, he added that Connor would never be able to work in her field again and that she was the sole carer for her 2 children and she relied on for the care of her elderly parents. trying to stop her from getting, by doing that and mentioning that, oh, she's the sole parent to the kids, she's a carer for her parents, trying to get a non-custodial sentence. Judge Edwards also noted that Connor was of good character and an inspirational, devoted teacher for almost a quarter of a century. He acknowledged that Connor accepted that her relationship with the victim was improper and occurred at a time when she was too harbouring doubts about her own sexuality. However, he added that Connor had caused damage to a young woman who was confused and enthralled in your equal measure. This was an abusive relationship, and young people in situations like this can be damaged in many ways. Should have taken steps to distance yourself from your victim rather than encouraging her. The judge sounds like she's gone soft on this dirty nonce. So what, she taught her for a very, very long time, weren't she? One sec. She taught her for a hell of a long time, man. And then, like I said, has anyone ever noticed, right, with these cases, right, like I say, there are women paedophiles out there as well. They either don't get caught or they're not as frequent as male. It's definitely more males that do this. But an offender's an offender. I don't care if a paedophile is white, black, Asian. I couldn't care. A nonce is a nonce. It's as simple as that. Now, the fact is, she obviously had an attraction to this girl from a very young age. And I think, was it 9 years old? She was 9, 10 years old. She was in her life, and her parents trusted her. And like I said, they was kissing on the lips and groping her over her clothes, right? Noncing, right? I'm not having that sexual contact. I'm not having that sex didn't take place until she was 16. I'm not having that for one moment. You wouldn't kiss someone on the lips and then open mouth kiss and everything, and then eventually wait till they're 16. Why would you start noncing and then not continue? So I believe that sex would have taken place pre to her being 16. The age of consent here in the UK is 16 years old. Anything below that is classed as statutory rape, because the child, and that's exactly what they are, a child cannot give consent to sex. So it's classed as statutory rape, and rightfully so. Now, has anyone ever noticed that these paedophiles, right? Do you know what? There's been 3 paedophiles in the Prestwich area that I've covered. You had Barry Hudson Muscroft, right, that I covered last night. You've got this Kim Connors here, and there was another paedophile man that lived on Bannerman Avenue or Bannerman Close. 3 paedophiles in Prestwich within a couple of streets of each. Well, she lived in Salford, but she worked in Prestwich at St Monica's. Now, St Monica's, Bannerman Avenue's at the back where one of the nonces lived. All 3 separate cases. And then the other one lived again a few streets away from that. So within about 10, 15 streets, right, you've got 3 paedophiles. This goes to show just how predatory paedophiles, how many are about. Have you ever noticed with these paedophiles, right, that most of them seem to work in positions of trust? Right, you had Vanessa George. For those that don't know, Vanessa George was the manager. She was a part of a paedophile ring, and she was actually the manager of, I think it was like the Little Tykes or Tiny Tykes or Tiny Tots, like a creche, child nursery thing down south. She abused children while she was at work sexually and sent the images and videos round. Just let that sink in, right? You get teachers. She was a performing arts teacher, drama teacher, whatever she was called, right? These nonces seem to work in positions of trust. So it's like they think, right, I've got these certain proclivities where they're sexually attracted to children, can't rehabilitate them. And they literally get into a position where they think, right, I'm going to go into a job where I can get access to kids. Social workers, like nurseries, teachers. Have you ever noticed that they seem to work their way into positions of trust where they might work as a carer for people with learning difficulties or physical disabilities? There was a guy that I covered last night that lived a couple of streets away from where this woman worked, Barry Hudson Muscroft, who said that he preferred babies that couldn't talk. He raped a baby, Barry Hudson Muscroft. Look down my timeline, a few videos, you'll see the video. So this is the thing. They go for people that can't speak up. And the thing is, right, the damage to this female in this case, this woman now, she's grown up to be a woman, and she's involved with this organisation that have helped her and brought her on, and they probably safeguarded her and give her counselling. and they give her the confidence and to address the issues that are there. And the thing is, the psychological damage is massive. And the thing is, this lady, this Kim Connors, has got 9 months in prison. Now, answer me this question. If this was a man, what would the sentence have been? Would you think it'd be 9 months, or do you think it'd be higher? Of course it'd be higher. 9 months in prison. You can get 6 months in prison for non-payment of council tax. She's getting 9 months, right? Do 4.5 for nonsense. A host of child sex offences. She's getting 9 months. 9 months. She'll be in Style Prison, which is down in Wilmslow, Cheshire. She was a mother of 2. She's obviously a lesbian now. The teacher, Kim Connors, she's obviously a lesbian. She'll be in prison. She'll end up in a lesbian relationship in prison. She'll get out. Yes, she'll never be able to work as a teacher again because she'd never pass a DBS or a disclosure barring service check, which is, in layman's terms, if you go for a job, not all jobs, but a lot of jobs, especially when it's working with vulnerable people, vulnerable adults, vulnerable children, teachers, things like that, care workers, social workers, they have to do a DBS. There's different levels. You can have just a simple one, or you can have an enhanced. And what it does, in layman's terms, it's like a police check on your background for any spent or unspent convictions, reference child sex offences, things like that. So she can't go back to the line of work she was in, but she can continue with her life. She shouldn't be given access to her 2 children. Her 2 children might be grown up now. If they're over the age of 16, obviously that takes that away. But yeah, 46-year-old, she's going to serve 9 months in prison. The damage to the victim is lifelong, so why is the prison sentence? And like I said, it will have caused issues in this victim's life. She might have become a lesbian, she might be bisexual, she might be straight. Like I said, the damage is lifelong, and the mental health aspect, then there's like a domino effect. I was sexually abused, for anyone that doesn't know. That's why I feel strongly about these cases, and I've started to speak up on them. I've also done paedophile hunting as well as security. So when you look at these cases, right, you've got to think about the damage, and it's like a domino effect, right? So the abuse is obviously for the paedophile, for the nonce, Kim Connors in this case, to get sexual gratification from her thoughts, her actions, and her depravity, right? She gets sexual gratification. That's all she cares about. She doesn't care about the victim, the damage to the victim, lifelong, etc. Very selfish people, all about them, all about their sexual desires and sexual needs, right? As depraved as they are, right? So the victim is then abused, right? Whether it's once, whether it's 1,000 times, abuse is abuse, right? Sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, it's all there. So then that person then develops mental health issues, right? They end up under the doctor, they end up taking medication, they feel ashamed, they feel dirty, they feel used, they question their own sexuality. If it's a same-sex sort of grooming. Then you've got the thoughts of suicide. Then you might have self-harm, which is factored in. You might have suicidal thoughts. You might attempt suicide. Some people want to swap the emotional pain for physical pain. Other people just use substances, drugs, alcohol, like that, to get to forget, or to, as a coping mechanism for what they've been through. They can, right, for example, for me, I can't form emotional attachments with anything or anyone. Someone abused me that lived local to my mum and my stepdad. I can't form emotional attachments. Don't hold down a relationship. I don't trust people. I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder with hypervigilance. Was my abuse that I suffered part of that? I definitely believe so. I didn't turn to drugs or drink. I was extremely aggressive and extremely violent. I say that to my shame and to my detriment and everything, but it was me. That was my outlet. Just everything time something happens, like a can of Coke bashing on a wall, bashing on a wall, bashing on a wall. And then I'd explode. And I'd end up in the police station. I'd end up in prison. I was violent. It was my coping mechanism. Like I said, so the lifelong damage for the victim, and my heart goes out to her, by the way, and it must be extremely hard for her parents as well, because her parents are going to think, we trusted this teacher. But why would you let I don't understand. The parents might have, the victim might have lied, saying, oh, I'm going staying at my friend's, but she was staying at the teacher's, because I can't see the victim's parents letting her at 13, 14 go and stay at the teacher's house overnight. But I'm not having for 1 second that the abuse, the sexual relationship didn't start before she turned 16. One of them. But like I said, the victim's parents must blame themselves and think, oh, why didn't we see anything? Why didn't we pick up on it? It's obviously not their fault. This was going on behind closed doors. The victim was vulnerable. It said there that she consented. But again, you can't consent really, because if you could consent, if a 14-year-old goes and has, statutory raped by a 20-year-old man, it's classed as statutory rape because that child who's 14 cannot give consent. So they're talking about everything the child did at the time was consensual. No, it wasn't, because she was under the age of 16 for a lot of the grooming and the child sexual abuse. So she can't have give consent. That's why the age of consent, the key word being age of consent, is 16. Anything below that, the child cannot give consent to. But like I said, guys, we're splitting hairs. But at the end of the day, Kim Connor's life is in tatters. I hope her children have washed their hands of her. I hope her parents have washed their hands of her. She's a disgrace. She took full advantage of her position, of this vulnerable girl who's going through, like I said, she started to go through the hormones and things like that, and sexual desires start to come in as you get to that age, and you start to grow and everything like that, and you're going through changes and your body's changing and your thoughts are changing. And this Kim Connors took full advantage of that, and the damage to the victim will be lifelong, and she'll never forget. And nothing but respect for her for actually, I don't know how it came out, but she's gone to the police at some point, or somebody has, and it's come out in the wash, and she's had to give evidence, whether it's behind the screen, whether it's on video link, whether it's in person. She's give evidence, and Kim Connors has been sent to prison for a laughable 9 months. Like I said, you can get 6 months for not paying TV license. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Kim Connors, you're a disgrace. Love and respect to the victim, from a survivor to a survivor. Stay safe. Hope you get through this, sweetheart. Like I said, don't suffer in silence. You're obviously speaking to this certain movement that are helping you. There is help and advice out there for anyone that's been through this. Go to the doctors. Speak to people you trust. There are great organisations out there. Do not suffer in silence. When they say, when you are being groomed, they'll always, the perpetrator will always say to the victim, it's our little secret. Keep it our secret. The reason they want it to keep a secret is because it's totally wrong. And if things get out, they'll be in a hell of a lot of trouble. Anyway, going to leave it there, guys. Link in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. Cody out.